Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of the FNS Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, and along with me, as always, is my son Jackson. Say hello.
Yo.
So you ready for take 2?
Yeah, I guess so.
If you sense any rage and disappointment in our voice, we had what I've heard happen to a lot of podcasts. We literally...
We had like a bunch of our show already.
Just got eaten, so... I recovered it, but it could only recover one track, which was Jackson, so his mic
and Dad sounded like he was sitting across the other.
Yeah, so it was just
like
picking
he was
up
sitting across the room.
My voice off his mic, so we've decided to redo the
Oh,
the
is that what
podcast.
it was doing? Wow.
Yeah, so
okay.
what was coming through was just me talking in your mic, because for whatever reason, it didn't save my track, it saved yours. So
maybe this banter bit won't be as long, because we don't
certainly
have much
won't.
to banter
This whole
about.
episode might seem quick, because we're going to fly through some stuff that we already talked about, so I apologize in advance.
It's all just...
Because we talked about school and a whole bunch of stuff in the banter, but we'll just put a pin in that, and
Plus,
maybe
nobody likes school.
We'll get back to it next week, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, so...
News and rumors.
If we sound a little bit irritated and down on things, this might be why we just are doing this for the second time today. But it's for the pod. It's for you listeners. So we're going to try and bring a good amount of energy and talk about the same stuff again.
The best we can, yeah.
All right. So.
My first news story is, if you don't know already, WWE Payback pay-per-view is tomorrow, which is a week removed from Summerslam. And so this... Payback being 1 week after SummerSlam is reportedly an experiment.
Yes,
very alike to this Tuesday in Texas that WWE ran in the early 90s, which is an attempt at
of course you'd know
a weekly pay-per-view.
Yep.
But
yes, so this we don't need pay-per-views every week. This 2 in a row is not cool. So I'm hoping this is not a trend that catches on, but I guess we'll find out, right?
Right. It's not going to be great.
Nope.
And Payback in general has never been the best pay-per-view, although Payback 2014, Shield vs. Evolution, that was really good.
The details,
But
it's amazing.
Payback 2017, which was our most recent Payback pay-per-view, ended in what some could call controversial fashion in the House of Horrors match. Because it was supposed to be a title match, right?
Yeah.
And they advertised as such. Even on the show, I believe. And Orton and Bray Wyatt, right? Orton was the champion. He won it from Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 33.
That's right.
And Bray Wyatt won, but he didn't get the title. And then Jinder Mahal stole the title after. And it was very confusing, and just the whole match in general. But we also had, I remember, that was, I think, when Alexa Bliss won the Raw Women's title for the first time, right? Because she had just come over.
Man, you remember a lot of details.
I know there's Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens for the U.S. title.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kevin
Take your
Owens
word for
won
it.
that. Wait, yeah, no, I think Jericho won that, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure, but yeah, there was some stuff on that. It was just, from what I remember, not a great pay-per-view, and Payback has never been. It's one of the generic named pay-per-views, like, you know.
I'm not looking forward to it.
We'll never had much importance to me, and it was the same. I was also confused when they brought back Backlash earlier this year, because Backlash 2018, the most recent one, was horrendous. Like, it had a good opener in Rollins and Miz, and then the rest of it was just downhill from there.
So we'll watch it, and we'll talk about it next week briefly.
I'm not thrilled about this.
Not
Of all
super
pay-per-views
excited.
to put after SummerSlam, this is not the most intriguing option.
I agree. So looking at the ratings now, Dynamite drew 813,000 viewers this week, and that was on not their normal night, right?
Right, because it was Saturday on the 22nd, and then this is the 27th, and it was on a Thursday.
Right, so this is showing us the loyalty of the Dynamite viewers. Right. They'll seek it out and find it even if it's not on normal night.
Probably a combination of the loyalty, and also just probably I would assume a lot of them are, especially if they're loyal to AEW, they're probably very fed up with WWE, just like, their style and like just over the years.
So NXT had 824,000 viewers with a 0.24 rating in that key demographic of 18 to 49. So both doing fairly well in the ratings. That's
Prize
good.
demographic there, right?
More wrestling fans, more ratings, hopefully equal more wrestling shows that are good.
And spoiler alert, NXT won the Wednesday Night Wars, I guess.
They did, right?
Yep.
Unopposed.
Well, it looks like AEW will win next week because we got NXT on a Tuesday next week.
Right, they're moving this time.
Super Tuesday.
Other things we talked about or in the news that will come up in when we talk about the show as well, Karrion Kross with his separated shoulder, injured, relinquishing the NXT title.
And something I'll probably bring up in our any other wrestling business again, somewhat, is Sami Zayn returns after a brief hiatus, and he comes back with his own Intercontinental title.
Yep.
So, this is very reminiscent of Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon in 1994.
Yes.
And I hope this could lead to an interesting feud with Jeff Hardy, and I really hope we get a ladder match out of this. So the undisputed Intercontinental title. Even just as an homage to Razor and Michaels, I just think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be fun. I'm glad Sammy's back for sure.
Right.
And our Roman Reigns news was the only other thing?
Oh, yeah. Roman Reigns on SmackDown appears to have aligned with Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
Which I find interesting because, he's been fighting with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman for so long, so this is just kind of weird to me.
Yep.
I'm willing to see where it goes, but just from that story standpoint, I'd like to see at least an explanation for this, right?
Yeah, I'm interested. It's the only way you're going to get me interested in Reigns is to make a heel turn, so we'll see where it goes. I love Heyman.
Right. Or I think he could make a decent tweener if they do it right.
And not that Reigns isn't good on the mic, but Heyman's world class, right? So sometimes I find Reigns a little bit cheesy, partly because of the lines they're giving him, probably.
Heyman is at the top level, along with maybe MJF and Chris Jericho.
Yes. So I'm open to this, and we'll see what happens. If Reigns has to be back, then at least they're trying to do something a little different with him, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe once Paul retires, he could be like a trainer at the Performance Center and teach a promo class.
He could for sure, absolutely.
Yeah, because I think Dusty Rhodes used to before.
He did. He helped them at NXT at the PC with that.
Right. So I think Paul Heyman could.
Anything else for news?
Nope.
Okay, so that will lead us to transitioning into our first main segment of the night, which is our AE Dynamite review. So the AEW, I'm focusing on getting it right. For some reason, I dropped the W. So AEW review.
Just easier to say then.
This is where Jackson's doing the heavy lifting, and I'll just sip some coffee and chime in whenever I see fit. Yep. Go ahead, buddy, for the second time. Take two.
Right. All right. So we open the show with our tag team gauntlet, and for those of you who don't know how a gauntlet works, it's in wrestling, it's like, so in this case with tag teams, you're gonna have, so with AEW doing their rankings for the number one contenders, right? So we have the number 3 and 4 contenders respectively, which are the Young Bucks and Nitro Nightmares.
Right.
And then basically how this will work is they just have a straight tag team match. Whichever team wins goes on to face the next team, so they just get a replacement opponent, which will be the number 2 contenders, the Best Friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta.
Right.
And then whoever wins that match between whoever this is and the Best Friends, then they'll face the number 1 contenders, FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler, formerly known as the Revival.
Right.
And they've got their new managers, remember, the Tully Blanchard?
Yes, wearing the jacket now again.
They all were actually in the entrances and looked cool.
Yep.
Revival vibes were there because I remember Scott Dawson wearing the jacket too.
Yep.
And Wilder sometimes, but sometimes he wasn't.
Yes.
Anyways, we start the match with Nick Jackson versus QT Marshall, and at their year average opening offense, Dustin Rhodes makes a blind tag and a shoulder tackle to Matt Jackson after he tags in.
Right.
Scoop slams by Rhodes to both Bucks and tag to QT Marshall. Drop kick by QT Marshall and tag back into Dustin. Elbow to the arm of Matt Jackson, tag team offense there, and a leg drop to Matt's arm by Rhodes. Nick Jackson gets a blind tag and double drop kicks by the Bucks to both guys, I believe. Matt tags in, and then Nick tagged back in. I know that seems like they just tag back and forth, but just because sometimes it's fast, so I miss something. So
right, and I didn't
bear with me here.
There are some fans in the stands, right?
10%. Yeah.
And Jericho's came out, and he's doing commentary.
Yeah. So Jericho is on commentary, which is good because I like him.
Yep.
But yeah, so some of the notes is just like, because I don't get everything, so just bear with me here.
Yeah, you don't want to take your attention from the match to type sometimes, right? You just want to enjoy it.
And Dustin Rhodes hits a destroyer, which at 51, that's very
amazing.
impressive.
The guy is very
We actually
impressive.
had to look that up, and he is indeed 51 years old, going strong. QT Marshall hot tag and takes out Matt on the apron, and Matt tags in. QT attempts his handspring kick on the Bucks and gets a double zip kick for his troubles, and Dustin Rhodes takes one too. Pop-up form by QT Marshall, and then Nick Jackson tags in, and they hit a BTE trigger for the win. Which was interesting because you pointed out that they didn't want to resort to their flashy Meltzer driver in this.
That's right.
Just kind of saving their energy, right?
Yep.
And Bucks eliminate QT and Dustin, and the Best Friends enter the ring. And I noticed there's this match, I've noted it a couple times, is Chuck Taylor knee limp.
Yes, that's right.
Which does become important later on, so an apron kick to Trent by Nick Jackson, but then he eats a nasty spear on the outside by Trent.
He does. Looks
and
good.
yeah, it was among he's done it multiple times, but this is by far one of the best ones he's done. Trent tags in. Best friends do a double team maneuver, and it's finished off by a running knee by Trent.
Right.
Basement corner knee by Trent to Nick Jackson, and Chuck Taylor tagged back in. Nick is sent hard into the corner by Chuck, and Trent back in. Axe handle to Nick while Chuck is holding him. Tag team offense, your usual stuff there. But Nick takes out Chuck on the apron, and Nick hits a super kick on Trent, and followed by a German suplex on the apron. And this is where I noted breaking news. I don't know if y'all know this, but the apron is the hardest part of the ring.
No.
Who knew?
That's brand new information.
I would assume it's the ring post because that's
no one's
metal,
ever mentioned that.
Right. No.
Definitely not every time anyone's ever taken a move on the apron.
I would assume it's the ring post, but
no.
We'll see.
It's the apron.
Trent does the Shawn Michaels thingy when he gets Irish whipped into the corner, which is where he kind of flips up the turnbuckles and then
like the supercell over the turnbuckles, yeah.
Right, but he actually stayed up and then he took a superplex or something, and then Matt Jackson tags in and hits a weird top rope stunner, which is kind of like the Eclipse by Ember Moon. So, because that'll give you a better picture of that. Northern Light suplex barrage by Matt, and it's interrupted, and then a tornado DDT by Trent. Nick tags in and he hits his hot tag flurry because this was a hot tag. More Chuck knee limp, I noticed, and Trent tags in. They hit the eat defeat half and half suplex. The best friends do, and Nick reverses a strong zero, which is their finisher.
Right.
Strong zero and into a near fall. Matt holds Trent for a draping somersault senton on the outside, which Nick does, and then that always looks pretty cool.
It looked really good, yeah.
And then they do the same thing in the ring, but Nick hits a 450 splash on Trent.
Yes, which looked awesome.
And then Hangman stops Nick from doing the springboard portion of the Meltzer driver, and Trent reverses into a roll-up in the best friends advance.
Right. So the first fall I really liked was fast and fun. Nothing major, but it was good. This one I really liked. The best friends looked way more intense than I thought they usually do, and I'm not the biggest fan of them. I thought Trent especially looked really good here. The Bucks are always awesome, and we're finally getting maybe the start of the payoff of this slow burn of an elite storyline.
Yeah, the slow Hangman heel turn. Then FTR enter, and there was a ref count botch that you noted.
Yeah, they're down in a pinning predicament, and the ref, I don't know, you thought maybe he thought it wasn't the legal person in the ring.
Then he counted anyways.
And then he realized it was, or whatever, and then he went down, and it would have been a 3 count if the ref was down right from the beginning, but it ended up a near fall because he was late to the canvas sort of thing.
Right, if he was
so just a bit strange.
Right, yeah, it was kind of weird, but anyways, we had, and then Cash takes out Trent, and FTR really do focus on Chuck's knee, just the classic style of, if you see an injured limb, you go after it, right? And this would pay off as the inverted figure 4 by Dax Harwood would make Chuck tap out, and FTR win the gauntlet to earn a tag team championship match at All Out on September 5th against Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega.
Yeah, overall a good match. The last fall was probably the weakest, but it made sense because the best friends had already been through a match. And
it was probably the least exciting, but it made sense.
And Chuck E.T. was not 100%, and they took advantage of that, so it was a quick win in that last fall, which kind of makes sense. So overall, it was fun, and it's pushing that elite FTR story, and along with the splintering of the elite from within, right? So both of those things are sort of progressed here. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good, and it just at least there's not just we're gonna challenge the tag team champions, and it's not just random. There's actually this was, and I feel like in this case the rankings really helped it because it's not just they randomly enter, but it's there's a purpose to the entry order, I guess.
And the rankings sort of held up because the number one team won, right? So
got the best spot, right?
That's right.
So then we had a quick Darby Allin vignette. Basically, he just said he's not afraid of Ricky Starks and he's not afraid of anything, and he jumped off a bridge into water, and it was really
so he has
high.
tacks in his back, and he's wearing the Ricky Starks mask. Those photocopied whatever masks he wears.
That look funny.
So it's basically showing he's fearless. He doesn't complain about tacks in his back, and then he jumps off a crazy high bridge into a river. So it was only about 15 seconds, but it looked cool, and it was consistent with his brand, right? He's the Daredevil, so that was furthering that idea.
And then we had the announcement of the next annual Casino Battle Royal at All Out.
Right.
So I believe we had one of these at Double or Nothing, right? So last year, I think we had a women's one at All Out.
Yeah.
And a men's one at their first pay-per-view Double or Nothing. Because I remember because Cast Your Minds back to Double or Nothing in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Jericho beat Kenny Omega. That's how he earned his spot at All Out, right? And Hangman won the original Casino Battle Royal.
That I actually remember, believe it or not.
And then they would face off, and Jericho would obviously become the champion.
Right.
And then I believe Rio won a match, and then Nyla Rose won the women's Casino Battle Royal at the first All Out, and that would set up the women's title match, right?
Yep.
And so yeah, this is going to be the second annual one, but the first men's one at All Out, I guess, right?
That's right.
So
should be good.
Interesting. And they did do, I think, the only reason I think they didn't do the Casino Battle Royal at Double or Nothing this year is because they did that Casino Ladder match, which was actually pretty fun.
Yeah,
so.
It was.
Anyways, and then the two announced entrants so far are Darby Allin and Lance Archer, and then our next match is Lance Archer versus Mr. Sean Maluta, who
NXT
we've seen.
Fame.
Yep, we've seen him in NXT. He was originally in the Cruiserweight Classic. I believe he lost to Brian Kendrick. I don't know.
And you said Evolve. We saw him at the
right. He was also
special
involved.
We watched.
Yeah, and Archer attacks a crowd person, because I guess you can do that when it's not actual fans. And the match starts, he hits a big pounce and then a chop on the outside, and Maluta gets thrown in the ring and repeated shots to the chest of Maluta. Maluta tries fighting back, but Archer is unfazed, and then a release suplex launches Maluta across the ring.
Right, that looked really cool. It was like a late release, so he skidded across the mat. It looked good.
Yeah, it was good. And then a really high choke slam by Archer, and Archer stops the pin, the classic monster tactic there.
Yep, could have pinned him, but picks him up.
And then he hits the blackout and bashes Maluta's head 3 times on the mat for the win.
With the EBD claw.
What does EBD stand for?
Everybody dies.
Oh.
Right? That was his New Japan.
And then he wins, and then Jake Roberts cuts a promo when they come back from the commercial break. Says Archer better win the Casino Battle Royal to just kind of erase the memories of the loss to Cody.
Right.
Brian Cage interrupts with Taz and Ricky Starks. Jake calls them the Flintstones, and Taz claims one of his guys will win the Casino Battle Royal, confirming that Brian Cage and Ricky Starks will be competing in the Battle Royal. And then Darby Allin, the other announced entrant, interrupts and skateboards in from the parking lot, which I really loved because I love his skateboard entrance, and he hasn't been able to do that.
It's unique, right? It's cool.
It just looks badass, especially I feel like his music. It's like when it hits that one part, it's just perfect.
Yep, he's a good, well-presented fellow.
And then he just immediately goes after Ricky Starks, and they just kind of brawl away, and then it leaves Cage and Archer in the ring with their managers. Archer wants to kind of fight with Cage, but Roberts says on our time, so maybe setting up a monster showdown.
Right.
So this was a decent squash match. It got the point across, which was to remind you of this monster that is Lance Archer.
Completely agree. It's pretty much what I had. He is a monster, don't forget.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't love was...
Also advertising the Battle Royal.
Yes, Archer spoke briefly in the promo, and I put he probably shouldn't, right? Like, just let Jake speak for you. Just be menacing and throw people around while Jake talks. That's much more interesting to me.
Yeah, like the one time he threw the guy into the roof somehow.
Yep,
like,
that's my favorite one.
Yeah.
So that was a decent segment for sure.
It served a purpose.
Yep.
Then next we had MJF backstage promo quick, not really much, but
in
he
his
just
neck brace
lectures
with a walker.
He lectures Lee about laughing because MJF thinks he was laughing, but it's just classic MJF there.
Yep.
And then we had a hype package for Hikaru Shida versus Thunder Rosa, champion versus champion for Hikaru Shida's AEW title, because that will be going down at All Out. Remember, Thunder Rosa is the NWA Women's World Champion, and she's crossed over just simply because she wants Shida's title.
Yeah, so you've got some NWA footage is used there. You've got some audio of Billy Corgan speaking.
Yeah, he says he is excited
NWA.
about the possibility of Rosa becoming a double champion, and this package really puts over Thunder Rosa.
It does.
Puts her in a good light, and also recaps her promo from last week.
So I'm looking forward to the match again. I haven't loved Thunder Rosa in the past, but it was a while ago, so I'm assuming she's a lot better, and people seem to love her. So I really like Shida.
And it's also a different stage for her, right?
Yep.
So we'll see.
So I'm excited for this match.
Yeah, we'll see. And then next we had the MJF versus Jon Moxley contract signing for their AEW World Title match at All Out September 5th. MJF is accompanied by his usual horde of peeps, including Nina, Lee, and his lawyer, and Wardlow.
Yes, all of his staff, I think, since he's supposed to be like a politician. These are his staffers.
Right. Jericho insults a fan when they show him on camera holding a Jon Moxley 2020 sign.
And I made a note that at some point, Jericho's gushing about having fans in the arena. Like, he goes on about it for a bit, and I almost thought, like, is he taking a little bit of a shot at WWE, right? About how great it is to have live fans there. And not people on LED boards just sitting there staring straight ahead, right?
And, like, putting up pictures of Chris Benoit. I just actually saw a news thing that Kenny Omega was on the Thunderdome.
Really?
Yep.
Wow, that's
like Kenny
interesting.
Omega. And then there was, like, a tweet that said he just wanted to have a good time. So I don't think he was causing any trouble. But, yeah, Kenny Omega on the WWE Thunderdome.
Interesting.
And hey, if WWE cannot be petty little children about it, he could stay there. Like, it's not a big deal if he just wants to watch the product.
Yeah, I suppose.
Right? Like, I mean, knowing them, they probably won't let him, but we'll see. It's just an interesting bit there.
Yep.
But yeah, Mox enters from the crowd right in front of the live fans, which is kind of cool. Must be nice for them.
Right.
He's holding a copy of the contract that he has faxed over. Tony spoils that Mox topped this year's PWI 500. For those who don't know, PWI, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, is a wrestling magazine. Comes out every 2 months, and they do a yearly kind of just almost year in review. Almost not quite, but like, because they do an actual year in review, but it's just like, I don't know, ranking the year for each guy and like who did the best in the year, and they have like
including from like little injury promotions, and you learn about.
Yeah, they have a certain evaluation period for it, and basically Moxley was number 1 this year.
Cool.
And
Definitely
they usually do more in-depth profiling for top 10, so it'll like, and to the point where like they show their placement for each year they've been in it.
That's right.
Right, so which I find very interesting because
you can see how their careers rise
even
and fall. And
if Moxley was in it from his original Jon Moxley run, like CZW,
yes,
that would be interesting.
Yep.
Right, and like even his rankings when he was in the Shield, right? Like you really just see the difference, right?
So they spoiled who's number 1 for you basically on this show.
I wanted
but that's
to
okay.
not know, but it's
they want to promote it, right?
Up
so
in the rankings, right? Like he was one of the choices.
Yep.
Anyways, the lawyer, MJF's lawyer, talked briefly about the stipulation on the contract that bans the paradigm shift. And MJF says contract signings usually end in chaos, and he says he wants to attack Mox, but he won't because he's not an animal like Mox.
Right.
And then he pauses mid-promo for when the crowd is chanting for Mox. Tells Mox to social distance himself and insults Mox's hairline.
Yep.
And then
good line.
Mox retaliates by saying MJF will get there when he hits puberty.
Yeah, those 2 lines were good.
Yeah, those are funny. MJF says Mox is as sharp as a marble, and says he didn't understand the hype around Moxley. MJF says Mike Tyson put over Mox when Tyson was watching one of his matches. Tyson said he wouldn't want to be in a dark alley with Mox. MJF says he is a prodigy, and they won't be wrestling in a dark alley, so Moxley is in MJF's territory.
Yeah, I like that. The idea of this, like, sure, maybe you're tougher and I wouldn't want to fight you in a street fight or in a back alley, but we're fighting in a ring in a professional wrestling match, and I'm more talented. So I like that.
Right. And it says he'll use everything to his advantage to beat Mox, like the ropes, the turnbuckles, he just says he'll do whatever to win. And calls Mox a glorified goon. And says Mox wants to trap MJF outside the ring because Mox is a scrapper, and that's where he's most comfortable.
So he's not going there.
Yeah, and said Mox only studied hardcore guys like New Jack and who else did he say?
I don't
Tommy
remember.
Dreamer, maybe?
I don't think so. It was definitely New Jack. Doesn't matter. This is our second time. Move on.
Whatever. He mentioned a bunch of people, hardcore people, and he calls them hot garbage. MJF says he has a higher ring IQ because he studied the great wrestlers of past generations, like he mentions Buddy Rogers and Ernie Ladd and those kind of guys. MJF claims we deserve better, and he will win the title. MJF says if Mox is better than MJF, he shouldn't need one little move to beat him, and then he should tell Renee, Mox's wife, that MJF is single.
Ooh. Right.
Mox says he doesn't need the paradigm shift, but he wants to have it because he wants to repeatedly drop MJF on his head, which I think is funny because, like, he doesn't need it, but would he like to? Yes.
Yes, because it's devastating and he wants to hurt MJF.
Because he's annoying.
Yep.
Well, like, in kayfabe, and like
Yes,
he's entertaining, but
for sure.
if you're Moxley, he would be annoying. Mox says taking away the paradigm shift allows him to figure out other ways to cripple MJF, and I think that makes sense, especially for a guy like him.
Yeah, I really like that when he's saying taking that away is just going to make me think of other more devastating ways. It allows me to get creative and think of ways to really hurt you. So fine, you're actually better off probably taking a paradigm shift because I'll think of some other violent thing to do instead, I guess.
Right.
Which was cool.
Right. MJF calls Mox an idiot after Mox signs the contract. Mox says he added something on page 17. MJF and the lawyer look it over, and it is that next week we get Jon Moxley fighting MJF's lawyer. If the lawyer doesn't show up, MJF loses his match.
Right.
And paradigm shift is legal in this match.
So we talked about it already, but I'll say it again. I liked almost all of this up until the very end. The whole, I snuck an extra page on there that nobody saw. That felt really, really WWE main roster to me. I didn't really like it. There's no universe where an actual lawyer is going to not read an entire document before it's signed. I just felt like this was just a cheap sort of WWE way to get this sort of stipulation in. So the rest of it, 95% of this I liked, and the last little bit I didn't really like.
Next we had a quick Proud and Powerful promo. I didn't really get many notes for this because it was just like short. And
it was brief. They're not going to apologize, and to the best friends, and best friends are going to pay their dues. That was it.
Yeah, it was nothing much, but.
Nope.
Alright, next we have Lucha Bros and Butcher and Blade, accompanied by Eddie Kingston, taking on Joey Janela, Sonny Kiss, Griff Garrison, and Brian Pillman Jr.
The excitement in your voice.
I don't like them.
No.
I don't like any of them.
I'm not a Pillman fan. Janela's okay. Janela and Kiss are fine as like a emerging tag team.
They're whatever, and Griff Garrison is a doof.
Griff and Pillman are AEW Dark competitors.
Yep, regularly. Lucha Bros take over the babyface team with dives early in the match. Butcher and Blade and a dropkick gut run suplex combo and a boot by Griff Garrison to Blade. Sonny Kiss tags in and a backflip slap thingy in the corner by Sonny. Janela tags in and a double team by Joe Janela and Sonny Kiss. Butcher tags in, and then a little bit after, Phoenix tags in. A corner flurry by the heels, just like a bunch of moves in the corner.
Yep. Running
attacks and whatnot. Then we get an actual picture-in-picture break.
We did.
Yep. And like I said, we don't usually get it. Just
not when they say that we're going to.
Although the one time they showed that they counted it down, like Jericho's like no, and like we actually got him. It's like
Jericho
oh
knows.
My god.
JR doesn't know. Seems like.
Right. And then anyways, we got Phoenix and Janela in the ring at post-commercial break. Mm-hmm. Butcher attacks Janela, but fails. And Sonny Kiss gets a hot tag in. Top of her Hurricanrana on Phoenix, which he misses a split and takes a nasty super kick to the back of the head. This looks fantastic.
Yep.
Phoenix takes out the other faces and a package pile driver by Pentagon to Janela on the hardest part of the ring.
Yeah, looked good.
Which is the apron, but yeah. Pillman gets double teamed by Butcher and Blade, and Pentagon and Phoenix a draping stomp pile driver. For the win, Lucha Bros and Butcher and Blade get the victory. And it did look cool, but I prefer the package driver stomp. Yeah. But I guess if they're dark competitors, it doesn't like.
Yep. I liked the last few minutes of this match. I thought was really good when the pace picked up, when the Lucha Brothers were sort of in control, and the rest of it before that was just kind of okay for me.
That's because Lucha Brothers are freaking mint.
They are awesome.
Yeah.
So what happens after this match?
And then we had an Eddie Kingston promo.
Right.
Just saying that him and his crew are all in the Casino Battle Royal, so that's confirming 5.
Nice big advantage, it would seem, right?
Right. And that one of them will win. And it's hard to argue with that when they're a fourth of the field of the Battle Royal, because there's going to be 20 guys in this Battle Royal. And I do prefer that to WWE in the Andre Battle Royal, where they just throw 1 million people in there.
Yep.
This is like actually a little more structured.
I love Kingston's promo. I did have one issue because at one point he seems to almost be he was talking about the crowd. Everyone's talking about his faction, almost like mocking the fans for thinking he has a faction, but then he's basically saying like my whole group of 5, so isn't that not a faction, are going in. So that's a minor thing because listen, when Kingston talks, I listen, right? There's something about him. You just pay attention to him when he talks. He's super skilled on the mic. I found a little bit of an inconsistency there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it was a little weird, but other than that, just I think the main purpose of this was just to confirm more entrants for the Battle Royal.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. But it was good, yeah. And a decent match, but I think it was just to get over this faction a bit.
Is it a faction? Is it? It is.
Well, it's definitely trying to get them over at the very least, especially when you have people like Pillman and Garrison in there who, like... the result was never in doubt. It is just to build to something else. And Garrison was literally a jobber to MJF. That was like the first time he was on TV, I think. So, yeah. Anyways, it was just filler, and I think it could have been a smaller tag match. But I guess if they're trying to get over a 4-dude thing, then I guess you have to do an 8-man tag.
Yep.
We had a recap of what Brody Lee and the Dark Order did last week to Nightmare People Family.
Nightmare People Family, yeah.
Nightmare People Family.
Yep.
Group. And then we had a Dark Order segment, Evil Uno promo, and they walk out, coming out with a coffin, doing the coffin dance a bit, which is weird. I guess because Uno then says how happy the Dark Order is now, and Brody Lee bought 6 lawnmowers. Which I didn't understand. I didn't like it. I don't know if they're sponsored by Snapper, if I missed some sort of reference from Dark or something, but I thought, I don't know, I did not like that part. Sorry, I yawned. And then they open the coffin, implying it's Cody, but then it's actually 10. And I like that he had like he's wearing like a Cody jacket or something, and then he had like a mocking fake tattoo on his neck. But it was kind of hidden under his mask a bit. I found funny because Cody's tattoo sucks. Well, and that's his choice. That's making fun of it. I know, but it just looks terrible. Yeah, not and a then Brody Lee enters, accompanied by Anna Jay, and everybody high-fives Brody Lee except for John Silver because he's short. Yep, he couldn't reach. And then they drag Tony Schiavone in forcibly for an interview. Brody says the Dark Order used to be laughed at, but now they are at the top. Dark Order unite in Cody sucks chant, and Brody Lee says the open challenge is over, no more TV time for these indie wrestlers, and Cody will never get the title back. And they officially announced Anna Jay as a member. Mm-hmm. And then the next part was kind of interesting. She's 99, the Queen Slayer. Is the name they gave her. And John Silver praises Brody Lee extremely and gets slapped. And he sure does. He was just like, yeah, Brody, you the man. And like, so even if you're being supportive and whatever, you don't step out of line and do things without... I genuinely felt sorry for him just because like they did so good of a job making Brody Lee look like a jerk. And this was supposed to happen. I did feel bad for him because he was like, yeah, Brody, you're the man. Dark Order's the best. And like, whatever. And then he just gets slapped. And I'm just like, poor guy. Right? You need to have Brody Lee's permission before you do things. I guess, right? Yeah. Yep. But that was just... it did what it was supposed to. I did feel bad for him. And then Dustin Rhodes attacks with QT Marshall. Dark Order take control quickly. And then Scorpio Sky comes to assist. And then Anna Jay slaps Sky. And then Matt Cardona attacks Evil Uno on the entrance stage and comes to help. So I didn't love the first part with the coffins and everything. Once Brody Lee came out, I thought it picked up a lot better. And it seems like they're just bringing out random guys to build a match a little bit, right? Which isn't my favorite thing. The match will probably be very fun, but it's just like, who in the back isn't doing anything? Cardona, come on out. Like, Scorpio Sky, come on out. So they're cobbling... Natural Nightmares, you lost a gauntlet, come on out. They're cobbling a team together to fight these guys, which will probably be an interesting match. I think they were really desperate for a match, because they even used the Natural Nightmares who had fought earlier. Like, Dustin Rhodes' face paint was still worn. So I'm hoping that the Dark Order go over in this, but we'll see. Yeah. They better, or else this is going to be all for nothing. Because it's just literally a random tag team and then 2 other mid-carders, really. Right. Anyways, then we had a Hangman promo, and the Young Bucks barge in angry, and they ridicule Hangman, say they just wanted a friend, and then he's kicked out of the Elite. Yeah, it's you had a little more notes on this. Yeah, just basically they were trying to say like, listen, man, you've always been good enough to be part of the Elite. It's just you are the only one that thinks that you're like this lesser member sort of thing. Right. And that basically, I guess it's done. 'Cause I think it was like he is as good as them, but it's just because he didn't maybe get as much spotlight as them. Because like, Omega and the Young Bucks were always these like, at least in like the Elite, they like became these megastars, and Hangman was just as accepted because he was like. Right. lower.
The
but
Bucks
then,
and
he
Kenny
was always
Omega
as
were
good,
huge in New Japan, and Paige was like the up and coming guy, right?
So but then they brought him in. So I guess it was like it's just
right.
But it was like
he never felt like he was a full member, and
like
they're trying to say.
Level.
And they're trying to say we couldn't have done anything more to make you feel that way, so it's kind of on you at this point, right? And then it looks like they're sort of dissolving that partnership.
Right.
Which is cool. It's starting to be the payoff of this long, slow burn of this story, right?
Big Swole.
Match of the
next
year here.
Oh, yeah. Next was Big Swole versus Britt Baker,
Mm-hmm.
Penelope Ford, and Rebel, but it was more like Big Swole versus Penelope Ford and Rebel.
Yeah.
Britt Baker is wearing like a face mask, kind of like on Dash and Cody, but in this case, she might have actually needed it.
Yep, she has broken her nose before the leg injury, so she's got 2 things
pre-match
on the go.
promo by Britt saying if Swole can win this, she can have any one-on-one match she wants against Britt, which is interesting because she assumes that Swole cannot win a 3-on-1, which is more of a 2-on-1.
Yep.
Match starts with a botch by Ford, a fireman scary botch.
Which Jericho tries to cover up by saying Swole is overwhelmed to start the match. Like she can't quite, I don't know, she's stressed out and can't hit a normal move, I guess, successfully to start. He tries to save her.
Britt Baker, crutch, cheap shot.
Yes, so almost everything in this match was bad. Bad knees, bad top rope Frankensteiner.
Yeah.
Kip gets knocked out by Dirty
Rebel
Dancing.
Tags in, and then a corner knee by Rebel.
Yeah.
Rebel crushed on top rope. Frankensteiner by Swole. It was bad because Rebel had to like jump and like.
It was really slow and awkward looking.
Kip Sabian distracts the ref, and Swole bullies him. Moonsault with a terrible landing by Rebel. Penelope tags in. Rebel accidentally hits Penelope with a crutch when the ref is distracted. Big Swole capitalizes for the win. Big Swole wins. I hate Big Swole.
So this is, in my opinion, about as bad a segment as you're going to see on an episode of Dynamite. Reba's bad. Even part of her gimmick, right, is that she doesn't really know how to wrestle. So she's not good, in my opinion. Swole's not good. Super charismatic. I don't know what else she's offering, really, at this point. And Ford, even though I like her, she's not ready to carry a match yet, especially when it's a match with 2 other people who are not super talented wrestlers, in my opinion. So this whole thing was pretty bad, other than Britt Baker being there for a minute or 2. It also makes Kip Sabian look kind of weak because he took 1 move from Swole and he was out. So to me, it was pretty much bad all around, and even Britt Baker couldn't save this for them.
Yeah, I was not a fan of them making Kip Sabian look like a fool.
I know you wouldn't like that. He's your boy.
Right. It was very disheartening.
Mm-hmm. So that was a bad segment.
It was not a great segment, and
I don't know if I've seen a worse thing.
Just a blip on the record of AEW.
Yep, not everything can be perfect.
But they've done a really good job for the past years, so I think we can cut them some slack.
Yeah, they've earned some forgiveness for sure. Yeah. I agree.
And then we had some advertisements for next week. Which is we're going to get Santana Ortiz, a.k.a. Proud and Powerful, versus the Best Friends. And then also next week, Chris Jericho versus Joey Janela, so Jericho back in in-ring competition.
Right.
Just ahead of the Mimosa Mayhem match, which will be at All Out.
Yes. Forgot about that one.
Private Party and SCU versus Jurassic Express and Young Bucks. Winners face each other at All Out. If not, it's not the most filler thing for All Out that I've seen. I don't know what it is. Because, like, the winners of an 8-man tag face each other? Like, what do you mean?
We'll see. Let's trust them, right?
Like, I'm not saying, like, these wouldn't be these matches, but it's like, is this not the most random way to, like...
It was thrown together pretty quickly.
Right.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
But then in this case, I'd like Jurassic Express in the box.
But I do like these rundowns of next week's shows. It just sort of allows you to get hyped for it, and also it's like evidence that they're planning things. You know?
Right, in WWE, especially from my experience, they advertise so much stuff. Like, so many announcements for the next show is on their Instagram and whatnot, right?
Yeah, which is one of my pet peeves, being a non-social media guy. Like, this I like. Here's what's coming up next week, so get excited, and so clearly we've thought of things already, sort of.
Right, and it just shows that they're planning. They're not just going off of, whatever, right?
Exactly.
And then next we had a Dark Order coming down to recruit Tay Conti.
Yes.
And Tay Conti joins, ?
Right, because there's a hug at the end between Conti and Anna Jay, right?
Or whatever, and like, I would like this because Tay Conti's cool, and she was teaming with Anna Jay. So.
And it's a nice thing that Dark Order can constantly be doing, right? They can always be trying to recruit somebody, especially people that aren't winning a lot lately. They can sort of go in and recruit them, and they can always kind of do that.
Hey, you're not winning.
And it's always that fun, like, is someone joining or not, right? It's just a little bit of intrigue into a show.
It did make Colt Cabana temporarily interesting.
Yeah, he's still not interesting to me, but that's all right.
Then we got some all-out advertisements in Dark Order. It's going to be Brody Lee, Stu Grayson, Colt Cabana, and Evil Uno. So those would be the 4 members.
Yeah, Stu Grayson.
Natural Nightmares, Matt Cardona, and Scorpio Sky. That's going to be at All Out. That's lame.
Well, we'll see.
Like it.
Yeah, it's not probably the least
not ideal.
I've been excited for an AEW match in a while.
Right. Then we have our main event, which is Sammy Guevara versus Matt Hardy.
Pretty brief for a main event on this show, eh? But
yeah,
not bad. Just
I think
not their normal.
Maybe especially the contract signing was pretty lengthy.
Yeah, you're right. It was.
But hey, not all main events are like super long, right? So, but yeah, this match was very brief, and so I'm excited to see what they. I was excited to see what they would do with the tables match because I've seen many tables matches in WWE, mostly at TLC because that's when they tend to do them. But they're just very like slow sometimes and like bumbling. So with Matt Hardy and he is getting old, but it's not like he's super slow. And Sammy Guevara is very interesting. So I was interested to see just what AEW would do with the tables match. And there was some reason for a tables match because Sammy Guevara did that dive through a table with Matt Hardy, which busted him open.
Not a stipulation for no reason, right?
Right. And then Matt Hardy threw him through some tables right when he attacked him.
Yep.
That 1 week. So so we got this match, and then so Sammy Guevara takes a gnarly apron bump, which is my first
That looked
note.
painful.
Yeah. And then he avoids an Irish whip when they're outside the ring by jumping clean over the barricade, which was
cool
very
too.
impressive. Yes. Sammy misses a dive through a table in a picture-in-picture. Keep in mind, you have to be put through a table by your opponent to lose the match.
It's the first time we've sort of paid attention through the commercial because we had a feeling there wasn't much time left.
And the first time I've been interested in a tables match.
Right.
Matt Hardy hits a side effect on the apron, and
it's the hardest part of the ring.
Matt misses elbow drop through a table. Twist of fate to Sammy with his head in a chair.
Looked
which
awesome.
Good. But the one that I personally like better was Matt Hardy did the same to Jeff Hardy in 2009.
I did make a note that Jack mentioned that while we were watching that Jeff Hardy.
I just think Jeff Hardy took it very well because like he did it good like Sammy, but he also had his head still stuck in there. So I think it just made it look a little cooler personally for me. But this was still really good. Like
I thought this looked
Sammy's
awesome.
Fantastic at selling. Like he introduced the possibility of me for like taking a twist of fate like a DDT.
I rarely make like visceral sounds watching wrestling, but this got some sort of sound out of me because it looked really cool.
Sammy superplexes Matt Hardy through the table, which had a chair underneath, which was actually like stood up, for the win. So Sammy Guevara gets the win, but we don't have much time to kind of resonate with that because Orange Cassidy's music plays and he jumps to attack Jericho at the announce table and he kind of totally annihilates and knocks over a monitor when he jumps. Just a constant brawl, and refs actually do try to break it up, and this is how we go off the show.
Yep, it was a classic pull apart. Yep. So that final match I thought was a pretty fun, short car crash of a match with a crazy couple of spots.
I like to say, especially at WWE, more so because they have the announce tables, but why don't you just put someone through an announce table in a tables match? Like, because I did that in the game sometime, and that works.
Yeah, it would work. So I've started going to give overall grades to shows now. I know we haven't done that before.
I'm going to go B+.
I gave it about a B. Said it was a decent but not great. For some reason to me it felt like less wrestling than usual. I could be wrong. The gauntlet match was fun. The swole match was awful, and everything else was pretty decent.
Yeah.
So I gave it a B overall.
But yeah, it was a good show. I go B+. Just short of an A, in my opinion.
Yep. So I guess that wraps up our review of AEW Dynamite. Got it that time.
Yeah.
And we're going to move into one of Jack's favorite segments, Off the Top of His Head, where Jack dazzles us with his knowledge of wrestling things.
Yeah.
So that is what we will do next. So today in Off the Top of His Head, I'm fairly confident you're going to do really well because this is a major topic and I know the types of things you remember anyways. So I expect you will crush this. We are going to talk Royal Rumble winners.
Okay.
Okay. So
I'll start from
beginning?
88.
I knew you were going to start from the beginning. So you do already know it's 1998.
Yeah.
Or sorry, 88. So who was the first ever?
Jim Duggan.
Correct.
And that was the 20-man one, I believe, right? So
and it was not for the belt at that point.
Or like it wasn't even for a title shot. I mean, right?
Yeah, sorry.
I don't think they started doing that until like when Shawn Michaels won.
Yep. It was, and it was in Hamilton, Ontario at Cops Coliseum.
Nice.
So that was the very first one, 88.
Ironic that Jim Duggan has such a American patriot gimmick, and he wins the first Rumble in like Canada, right?
Yeah.
Kind of ironic.
So
next was
89.
Big John Studd.
Big John Studd, 89 is correct. 90.
Hulk Hogan.
91.
Hulk Hogan.
92.
Ric Flair.
Everyone knows that one. That's no big deal. 93.
Yokozuna. And Randy Savage tried to pin him, and then he gets thrown over.
Oh, yeah.
Remember,
oh,
right? Yeah.
Yes. That's right.
That was funny.
94.
Lex Luger and Bret Hart.
Yes. Good. 95.
Shawn Michaels.
96.
Shawn Michaels.
97.
Stone Cold.
98.
Stone Cold.
I swear he's not looking at this list.
I'm just a
he cannot
machine.
see my screen.
This is
We're
one of the
facing
ones
each
I've
other.
memorized like completely.
Sorry, where did we leave off? You said 98 was Austin. 99.
Was Vince McMahon, but then Austin got the title shot. If you remember, St. Valentine's.
I'm gonna say you're wrong because it was Mr. McMahon.
Oh, and then St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Austin won the cage match or whatever.
If you say
Paul
so.
White debut.
I
don't
watched
know how
it, but
you wouldn't remember that, but
because I don't remember anything.
It's
we're
a
learning on this
memorable
podcast,
moment.
I don't remember anything. This is what this podcast is teaching me, and that's why you're here.
Yeah.
So Mr. McMahon, yes. So 2000.
The Rock, but it's rumored that it could have been Big Show, because anyways, but it was The Rock.
It was The Rock. 2001.
Stone Cold.
02.
Brock Lesnar.
Nope.
Oh, wait, why I said that again? I keep thinking the King of the Ring.
So
Triple H.
correct. 2003.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar. That's the second time I've done that.
04.
Oh yeah, Chris Benoit.
Who?
Chris Benoit.
Never heard of him. 2005.
Batista.
6.
Rey Mysterio.
Correct. 2007.
Undertaker.
2008.
John Cena.
2009.
Randy Orton.
10.
Edge.
11.
Del Rio.
Yeah, isn't that the largest one?
Yep, 40
That was the 40 man.
No, because in
remember
2018 there was the Greatest Royal Rumble, Braun Strowman.
Mind like a steel trap.
Braun
Those don't
Strowman.
count. I don't even consider those canon.
Well, Braun Strowman.
Anyways, sorry, where were we? 2012.
Sheamus.
Correct. 13.
John Cena.
14.
Batista.
15.
Roman Reigns.
16.
Triple H.
This is crazy. 17.
Randy Orton.
18.
Nakamura and Asuka.
Good. 19.
Rollins and Lynch.
Good. Oh, and now they're married.
I
Having
know.
a baby.
Weren't they already engaged?
I don't know.
Because then I think there's like the picture of them kissing at WrestleMania, so I would assume they were at least dating at that time.
But your memory is ridiculous. And 2020.
McIntyre and Stupid Charlotte.
Correct. Hey, Charlotte's great. She was just.
Baszler should have won it.
Okay,
she was
fair.
literally number 30, and she's Shayna freaking
Shayna Baszler's a hot button for you. You get angry about that. McAfee.
Shayna Baszler could win it if she entered
Kip
number
Sabian.
15.
You have certain pet things I've noticed. Anyways, you absolutely crushed off the top of his head this week, as I knew you would. Only one minor stumble.
I promise it's not
You
scripted
quickly,
or anything.
it isn't. And you could some way we'll do a video of it maybe, but you just have to trust us at this point. This boy remembers everything somehow. All right, so let's transition into our NXT review from this week, and that's where I'll do the heavy lifting, and you can just sort of relax and chime in when you feel the need. So the show starts with a recap of TakeOver 30, and then transitions right into Cross and Scarlett's fantastic entrance. I still love it.
Still good.
The moment that it transitions from her to him, I think is one of the coolest.
The silhouette part?
And then,
yeah,
it just
you
starts
notice,
to go crazy.
though, immediately he's in an arm sling
Yes.
because of the way, because you can see his arms,
He is in a sling, and he speaks to us once he's in the ring. He told us again and again that he would become the NXT champion, and he warned us that everyone would suffer. I guess that means himself included. He ripped the title from Lee like he ripping flesh from bone.
Nice comparison.
Yep. And when you're at war, you expect casualties on all sides, and his shoulder separated, but he loves the pain.
I love that too, because casualties on both sides.
And comparing it to a war, and that nobody comes out of a war intact, right? And he's fine.
That was good.
But he's a realist, he says, and he knows that even though he's tough enough to fight through it, they're not going to let him defend the title in this condition.
Which keeps in character.
Yep. He says on the path there are obstacles, but for him the path is the obstacle. He lays the title down and the hourglass on the mat, I guess, to sort of time his return. He's going to let it be a warning. It changes nothing, and doomsday is still coming. Everybody will pay the toll.
Right.
And God help the obstacles in his path.
Right.
Tick tock. So I just thought this had to be done.
TikTok.
They had to do this,
Such
right?
a bad app.
And that this was really well done. It was brief, intense. It makes sense the way that he explained everything. The only thing I hated, we talked about it before, was the crowd just booed the whole time. A real crowd would stop and listen to this guy talk
and
after he's been injured out in his first major championship match.
In fact, they might cheer him.
They would at least be silent, right? But so I found that really annoying. They just booed the whole time.
And I'd like to say, given the time with the app, TikTok is a terrible slogan there.
Yes. It is kind of interesting.
If you know what I
just want them to be quiet and let the man talk.
Right.
But anyways, the other very cool thing that we noticed at the end was the Tron. As Scarlett walks up the ramp, she touches the Tron and it starts to catch fire where her hand touches and then spreads throughout the whole screen, which looked really just another cool thing they've added to this partnership.
For me, this was reminiscent for me of Seth Rollins' WrestleMania 33 entrance, because he had the torch and then he put it on the ramp, and
that
WrestleMania
was cool
33
too.
had such a
that was
long
with the floor
ramp,
on fire.
Right?
Yeah, that looked cool too.
And then the floor burned down the ramp, and then also the ring LEDs.
That looked cool.
That was just really cool, and I just remember loving that, and it was so cool. And this also WrestleMania 33, they had such a long ramp.
It was humongous.
Too, right?
Remember the big guys were gassed when they got to the ring? Was that year?
No, it was the Royal Rumble that year, though, you said.
Where they run a mile and they were tired by the time they got there?
Or no, Royal Rumble, remember they had the cart?
Yes, they had to drive the bigger guys. It was too far, that's right.
But anyways, I remember the Hardy Boys returned and they had to go down that long ramp. Anyways.
So we get Wade Barrett and Vic Joseph on commentary.
Oh yeah, guest commentary.
Wade Barrett does a pretty good job, I think, although I always say
I
when I'm focused and taking detailed notes, the first thing that sort of goes for me is paying attention to the announcers, but he does a good job on NWA, so I assume he's going to be fine.
I'd really like to see Wade Barrett come back to competition. I never really got to see him at his finest. I saw him as King Barrett, and even then only briefly. Because I saw him at
Bad News Barrett. I've got some bad news. No,
because I started watching in 2016, and he was already King
He's
Barrett.
pretty cool. He's got a cool look, good size. He can talk. He's a decent wrestler, but he works out well on commentary as well.
Yeah.
So our first match is Breezango versus Imperium. I'm not saying Breezango I'm not saying they're bad wrestlers. I'm just done with them. I don't need to see them anymore. Going into this match, I assume Imperium's going to lose, unfortunately, because without Walter, they're pointless. And they're a good tag team, too. They need to figure out something to do with them. If Walter's not coming over, Imperium is dead.
They need to do something.
Yep.
Right? They just... The Matt and Sacred game, because I feel like Walter was really the start of Imperium, because he already had the theme music and already the ring general gimmick, right?
Yeah, before he even came to UK.
Yeah, and it just, I don't know, just especially they've been with him for a while, and they just feel empty without him.
Yeah, they're I wouldn't blame people for not even remembering who the tag team champions are on NXT, because they've really done nothing. They haven't even had promos or interviews or anything. So anyways, Eichner and Fandango start. There's grappling and a tag to Bartel, some arm work, rope running, leapfrogs, and a Fandango drop kick. He tags and a beatdown of Fandango happens. Hot tag to Breeze, who kicks Eichner off the apron and attacks Bartel with kicks, uppercut, and a suplex by Bartel, but he jumps off the middle rope and takes a spinning heel kick from Breeze. Then they're struggling in the corner.
Which used to be his finisher, the beauty shot,
yes.
Which I find it weird that it used to be his finisher. Now it's just
a regular move.
Yep.
Struggle in the corner.
Bartel
takes control with an ensigiri. Eichner is in and takes a jumping head kick from Breeze. Double teaming by Breezango, ending in a top rope leg drop from Fandango.
Which he used to call it, at least, the last dance.
Right. That's what he beat Jericho with at Mania. See, I remember everything.
No, I think he rolled up Jericho.
Oh, dang it. Oh, well, I know he won. How about that? Fandango flips over the ropes onto Eichner, but Bartel runs in with an uppercut, but ends up taking a suplex outside from Eichner. Eichner moonsault for 2. Breeze gets suplexed outside again by Bartel. Fandango wants a tag, but Breeze isn't there, so he gets double teamed for a 2 count. Imperium missliding double drop kicks in the corner, and we get another hot tag to Breeze, who super kicks everybody, and Fandango's tagged for a double top rope leg drop.
Yeah, that's the last dance right there.
Yeah, so both opponents are down. He does a top rope leg drop, hitting each of them with one leg, I guess, and they go on to celebrate on the announce table. So great. The Fandango eras, the Breezango era as champions, I guess, is beginning. For me, the stink of the main roster is just too strong on these two.
And during the replays, Beth Phoenix mentioned or said Eichner, but she messed it up and said Eichner again.
Always she does.
And that just
it's like me with AEW Dynamite.
Me.
She just can't. I can't get it right for some reason. I just can't find this tag team interesting. Again, I'm not saying they're not talented. I just don't want to see them anymore because they've just been. I've been trained that they're just a meaningless comedy act, and it's hard to see them as something else right now. It was a decent match, I guess. But this tag division is pretty weak, right? Like, what are the active tag teams?
Right,
I think
like
we've
I've
talked
been saying,
about it before.
Just even you look back to even just a year ago.
Yeah.
And it was so strong. They had, or just about a year ago, like not exactly because the Viking Raiders would have been up. They were the Viking Experience.
Yeah, you had Viking Raiders
like,
and
Viking Raiders, Street Profits, era at their finest.
Yep.
Lorcan and Burt still going strong.
AOP at some point were down there.
AOP were down there. Like
it used to be
DIY.
We used to be
Revival.
told Triple H cares about tag team wrestling, so it was going to be.
Maybe he did.
And I would be fine if NXT focused on tag teams and women's wrestling. That would be fine for me.
Yeah.
But this division is not strong. This match was okay, but I don't really care, to be honest. Damian Priest is interviewed backstage, but won't answer questions right now as the party is still rolling. Which I liked because this is a little bit of an expansion of his character, right? We're now learning he's maybe the super talented guy that gets by on that talent and doesn't work so hard and likes to party. It goes back to sort of him celebrating in the hot tub after the win. So I kind of like this. It's a little wrinkle adding something to his character.
Yeah.
And it's also
it's different from when he started, right?
It is.
But it does add a little more to that live forever catchphrase.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, he's trying to just sort of enjoy life and he's got a title now.
That can kind of be what it's seen as, I guess, right?
And it's a nice contrast because now we get Thatcher, who's kind of like the exact opposite of this, interrupts, and he's embarrassed by the way Priest behaves as a champion. So if Priest wrestles Thatcher, Priest won't be able to hide behind any ladders, and Priest doesn't really care and walks off. So again, I like this bit of character addition for Priest. He's the hard partying guy who kind of wins despite his party attitude, right?
Right.
Which I'm fine with because his character needs a bit more development for me. I like that.
And this is said development.
And it's a great contrast with Thatcher's all business attitude. So I kind of I like Thatcher a lot more than I thought I was going to. When he debuted, I did not think he was for me, but I kind of like there's room for one guy that's just a technical wizard and is serious. He's the guy that we all work with somebody who takes their job too seriously.
Dwight Schrute.
A little bit, right? And that is Thatcher. And then you've got the party guy who is the exact opposite. So I'm interested to see where this goes.
Yay, Office reference.
Next match is Jake Atlas versus Tommaso Ciampa,
the feared
who we're
Jake
glad
Atlas.
to have back.
Yeah.
So I believe the whole point of this match is to remind us just how aggressive Ciampa is. He has headbutts, chops, relentless stomps to start, and then basically almost immediately hits the Willow's Bell DDT for 3.
Right, and it's like the Archer match in AEW. It's just it serves a purpose to remind you who these guys
Ciampa hasn't
really
been around a ton lately. We're putting him right, as we're going to learn, he's going to be right into a main event, so we need to sort of remind you of how aggressive and devastating he is.
But he does turn heel in this, which makes it... well, I'll explain more later.
Yeah. So it's unfortunately Atlas is a victim of this. He seems to have some talent and potential, but clearly they just needed him here to sort of fill in this match.
He doesn't seem like much to me, though. His character's like...
Yes.
It's just...
No, they haven't done anything with his character, really. Maybe they're just sort of like, you can only push so many people at once, right? So I always like to say maybe it's not that they don't like him or they don't have plans, but...
He's also someone they debuted in this era. Maybe that's not exactly helping.
Yeah, and you can only focus on so many people at a time. I get that. So that's okay. So he wins a really fast match, and then he basically continues the attack outside the ring, runs Atlas into the plexiglass and the steps, which look pretty good. Then he acts like he's done and going to leave, but again, he comes back, and I didn't know how to describe it. So he basically, as Atlas is lying on his back and Ciampa has a hold of his ankles.
The decapitator.
Right? He sort of leans back and leverages Atlas's face.
Like a catapult, but like...
Yeah, he's catapulting his face up into the underside of the ring. That would be painful if it were real for sure. So then medics come down and attend to Atlas, and they're putting him up onto a stretcher. So Ciampa comes back again and does the classic attack him on the stretcher, hits his Willow's Bell DDT with Atlas's feet on the stretcher, which looked
draping
cool.
off the stretcher.
Yeah. So I thought that it's fine, right? This was just reintroducing.
It's fine.
Yes, reintroducing Ciampa, who's super intense. And my favorite part was after he had given that second Willow's Bell off the stretcher, the sort of look that he's giving Atlas there, I thought was amazing, and that his facial expressions are top notch.
Mm-hmm.
So Barrett tells us the locker room has been put on notice,
And that's a fair comment.
Yeah. So then we get to Candice LeRae reflecting on her relationship with Tegan Knox. LeRae is saying that at one point Tegan reminded her of herself, and that they had spent a lot of time together sort of traveling the road, and this. She's always supported Tegan, but when it came time for Tegan to support her, she was nowhere to be found.
She helped she helped Knox against Kai. There we go.
Right. And then
but Knox just didn't really return the favor. And I like this because the Candice LeRae heel turn was a little confusing at first.
Yeah, this helps because this is a nice little promo from her. She says she needs to be selfish sometimes, and if Tegan doesn't understand that, then too bad. I like this because I don't feel like Candice has done a lot of talking since she's turned heel, so this was fine.
Just gives some explanation to it. Again, this is helpful.
So Reed's being interviewed, and he thinks he should be first in line for a North American title shot since he's actually beaten Priest before. But then he's interrupted by a returning Austin Theory. Theory tells Reed to keep chasing his dreams, and maybe by the time he's 50, he'll have accomplished something. I think implying that Reed's maybe not that talented.
And also mentioning that how fast Theory got to WrestleMania.
That's true. Reed immediately says nothing, just slaps Theory in the face. So I guess this is a simple way they're reintroducing Theory to us, who I'm not a huge fan of, but we'll see, and sort of giving us a glimpse of his first
you said he's a very creative wrestler.
He does seem like a creator wrestler.
Yeah.
In his appearance, kind of the way he talks.
And his theme is so
we were seeing, I'm not
generic.
sure what's going to happen here because I don't feel like they want Reed to lose right now. They've sort of built momentum for him.
But they just brought Theory back in.
So we'll see what happens with that, I guess. Next, we get the Robert Stone brand. Robert Stone is on his way out to the ring, and he's got a mic, and he's going to talk. But Shotzi comes out and runs him over with her tank on the way. So this changes, I guess, the match from being Mia and Martinez to now Mia Yim versus Shotzi Blackheart. Two of your favorites, buddy. So I put that these two are kind of similar to me. They both know a whole bunch of wrestling moves, but they don't deliver them well, right? They're either slow or kind of sloppy or not so smooth. They also, appearance-wise, have a lot of stuff going on with their appearance and sort of their look. But I really don't know much about either one of them. So I kind of, like, they're fine, like, mid-card fodder in the women's division for me. Yes. So it starts out with
mid-card fodder, though. Yes. That's fair.
Lots of wrestling to know, and you have to have that in your promotion, right? So there's a spot for everyone. Lots of wrestling to no advantage to start. Then we get this sort of double dragon leg screw off the second rope by Mia Yim that I don't know, it looked kind of awkward.
Yeah.
A snapmare, kick, and a surfboard by Yim. Surfboard by Yim. A boot from the corner by Shotzi. Then we get a corner splash and a bulldog. Combination of kicks and a suplex by Shotzi. A nice dragon suplex by Mia Yim. A big boot in the corner by Yim that looked okay too, actually. I'll try and give her credit when I can. A missed drop kick and a senton by Shotzi. She climbs the ropes, hits her top rope senton for 3, and Shotzi wins. And my thoughts were fine, not great. Like, this is about what I expect these two to do, right? They're not...
Nothing of note.
Like, if you want to compare this to, like, Io Shirai, Dakota Kai, right? Like, those are two women, in my opinion, at the top of their game who are excellent wrestlers, and this is the next couple steps down from that. Okay? So, again, there's a
lot of steps down.
But if you have competitors with no story and you put them in a match, then that match has to be awesome. Or I'm going to say it's lacking, right? So
this is lacking.
It was.
So much.
So Regal,
so lacking.
So now we get Regal. He's asked about the NXT title situation. He says he's made a decision, and he will reveal it shortly. Okay.
With the NXT advisory board.
That's right. And Kai and Rodriguez are interviewed and asked about their match against Ripley and Shirai. They say that Rhea should have minded her business at TakeOver 30, but they're not scared because they're an actual tag team, and Ripley and Io aren't a tag team, and not only that, but Ripley wants what Io has. So that kind of makes sense. They should be the more cohesive unit here, right? They are an actual tag team. Yeah. Gonzalez says Rhea made a mistake getting in her face. So now we get Regal coming out to the ring with an update on the NXT title situation. So he wishes Cross the best on his recovery. He says the NXT advisory board, which I laughed because I thought that was just a joke, and I wanted to know who's on it, but you actually know.
They did show a brief.
I missed it somehow.
And it's him, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Matt Bloom, a.k.a. Albert, a.k.a. Tensai, a.k.a. What else was there? A-Train.
The Hip Hop Hippo?
Yep, Hip Hop Hippo. And Giant Bernard.
Yes. So the advisory board has decided that next week 4 former champions will wrestle for the title in a 4-way Iron Man match, which is we were discussing is a pretty cool stipulation. I'm very interested to see what happens in this type of match, right?
Yeah. A 4-way Iron Man match is interesting. It's also going to take up half of NXT, which is also interesting.
Yeah.
And
half the show, right?
Like a multi-man Iron Man match has never been done. We've done a tag team match. But that's still 2 sides, right? So it's still like one team versus one team, right?
This could be different people pinning different people at the same time. Like, are they going to need more than one ref?
True.
Right?
Yeah, 2
Never
refs,
thought of that.
right? 2 pinfalls at the same time.
So Regal hypes it up a bit, each person, but it turns out it's going to be Gargano versus Ciampa versus Balor versus Cole, and this will be on Super Tuesday next week, and it should be...
confusing because Ciampa just turned heel, so we have no faces in this match.
Yeah, we have basically like 3 heels and a tweener
and
transitioning.
We have 3 heels and an Adam Cole.
Right. So the match should be awesome. Let's be honest. I'm looking forward to that for next week.
They truly picked the best of the best, really.
They did.
Yeah.
So then we get...
At least from an in-ring standpoint.
Another championship match. We're going to get Isaiah Scott versus Santos Escobar.
Swerve.
So they start out with one of their hands clasped together, and they struggle until Swerve hits a flip to Escobar. Then we're out to a commercial, back from commercial with a side headlock by Escobar. Suplex by Swerve, but Escobar retains his grip. Swerve escapes and shows his quickness before a suplex for 2. Submission applied by Swerve into a backslide for 2. Swerve goes to Escobar's arm, and Escobar rolls out of the ring. He did this repeatedly, right? He just needs to escape and get him in it. Good heel tactics.
Yep.
Swerve follows and gets thrown from the apron into the plexiglass. Fireman's carry drop on the steps to Swerve. Now we move back in the ring, and a kick to Swerve's chest for 2. A slower pace with Escobar in control. He does a lot of stomping here. Yeah. So I kind of like this. You're a cruiserweight, but you're not necessarily flipping like
and while we got a slower pace here, I just want to get my couple quick notes of the ring gear. It's just quick. Scott's, he wears tights, but they don't go all the way down. It's like Cesaro when he's wrestling in street attire.
Right.
And like his pants are like, it looks weird, and either wear kick pads or just have them go all the way.
Yep.
Right. And Escobar's boots have like these weird tassels or whatever on them, and they look kind of confusing.
See, I didn't notice either of those things. That's why you're here. You add the details.
All right, but continue.
Running knees in the corner by Escobar for 2 that I think usually look pretty good. So now they have both hands clasped together, and they do a bunch of things that ends in a big power bomb from the top by Escobar for 2. Atomic drop and a knee by Escobar. Escobar spits in Swerve's face, which I never like to see because there's no way to fake that. So
and we're in a pandemic.
Right. Someone's actually getting spit in their face, which is never cool. But this fires Swerve up, so he hits a whole bunch of punches, a top rope uppercut. Top rope uppercut to Escobar's back. Escobar rolls out, and Swerve follows with a big stomp and a nice backflip to the outside. Flatliner by Scott back in the ring for 2. So then we get Joaquin Wilde distracts the ref. Mendoza distracts Swerve. Escobar takes advantage. Breezango come in, and they fight the other 2 on their way sort of away from the ring. So we're left with just the 2 competitors in the ring. One-on-one again. Swerve's in control with a running kick for 2. Hits a high impact move in the corner, and there's 2 and a rope break from Escobar. Okay. I always forget his name. Escobar rolls out.
You always forget his first name too.
So Escobar rolls out again, puts on a loaded mask, I guess, and headbutts Swerve for the win.
It was very clearly loaded, though. He at least tried to indicate, because he was like, when he was putting on, he was like fitting in, making sure
that the piece was where he wanted it.
Well, yeah.
So I thought this was a good match.
I imagine it being something like the glove that Sean Spears has.
Yes, exact same idea.
But then wouldn't it hurt his head a bit?
I would think so.
Right.
So I thought this was a good match with a weak finish, since it's almost impossible to have a clean win in WWE, it feels like. So it can't be just that Escobar's better and wins. It's got to be some sort of shady business,
50-50
right?
50-50 booking.
50-50. So,
yeah.
Fandango versus Legado doesn't interest me at all, obviously. But I'm hoping it's just, let's get the belts off Breezango.
Legado's fun to say.
Get the belts off Breezango, and then I'll be fine.
Get him on Legado.
And another point with this faction that we really like, right? Legado del Fantasma. But
I like the theme.
At this point, they need to evolve. They look cool. They have a cool theme.
They're like the Lucha Libre Imperium almost.
But they've sort of dropped that whole Lucha Pure thing.
They really need to get, like, maybe start wrestling a little more like that and mentioning it more and, like, maybe
just give me something. Right? Why are you here? Why are you following this guy? Just something new, because it's just like, it's not enough that you just look cool and have a cool theme, right? So I need some sort of character development coming down the pipeline.
Right.
All right, so now we get these couple little promos here that I felt were really 80s style, right? It's just like 90 seconds or whatever for the competitors in the match to have sort of an insert promo. So Gargano's first. He's built his kingdom brick by brick, and fate has stepped in and given him a chance. He's going to show us why he's the Iron Man of NXT, and he'll have the title to prove it. Then it cuts to Balor giving a short, intense promo, as he does, and it seems like every week for the past few weeks. The pieces are set, and he'll rise to the occasion. He's the centerpiece. Or actually, he talks about the four of them being the cornerstones of NXT, but he's not a cornerstone. He's the centerpiece, and everybody's going to get what they want, which is Finn Balor as NXT champion.
Uh-huh.
Then we get our...
Definitely, everybody wants that.
Yes, we get our next match.
After Adam Cole.
Which is Drake Maverick versus Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah, and as soon as I saw this, it's no offense to Kyle O'Reilly, but he's not in singles matches a lot, so I immediately knew his filler, especially when he's facing Drake Maverick, who, again, is not a marquee opponent, right?
But I think it's to show what's happening at the end of this match, right?
Yeah, O'Reilly's usually, though, only in one-on-one matches when it's, like, the further thing for Era, and, like, I know he challenged Pete Dunne for the UK title once, and he also fought Ivar for like the War Games advantage once, so like those kind of things. But like, I don't know, just this I knew was filler right away. So
I really helped because, as we've learned on this, I don't remember anything, that they remind us that the Undisputed Era attacked Maverick a couple weeks ago, or else it would have been
Killian Dane.
I would have been like, why? This is just, and Killian Dane at the same time. Otherwise, I would have been like, why was this thrown together? So thanks to WWE for reminding me. Maverick starts out on fire, obviously, because he's super angry. He uses his speed.
He's a dwarf. And
O'Reilly ends up falling outside. Drake climbs the ropes and front flips onto the Undisputed Era, everybody except O'Reilly. So O'Reilly takes control in the ring. We get knees and kicks by O'Reilly, but Maverick fires up and kicks O'Reilly. Forearm Bulldog sent on by Drake. Can you tell I'm going really fast because we've already done this before for the most part.
And this match is boring.
Forearm exchange, slaps and knees by O'Reilly, kick to Drake's knee. Enziguri by Drake. O'Reilly keeps taking Drake's leg in an Achilles lock to the point where eventually Maverick taps out. So Undisputed Era come in and start obviously stomping and beating on Maverick. And O'Reilly this is the first sort of dissension we see. He's not really on board for this. He's sort of giving the gesturing why are you doing this? What's the point to this sort of thing? So this is kind of our first sort of cracks in the Undisputed Era, which I know you don't like, but this faction's been together and solid for a really long time. So they got to move on to something, I think. I know it hurts your feelings because you love Undisputed Era, but they need to grow and change, even if it means they split at this point. So Killian Dane comes down to stop the chair attack, and he hits Roddy with the chair instead.
Okay, what if we do Cole and Strong versus Fish and O'Reilly? Yeah.
Maybe. So it looks like Dane has come down to help Maverick. They're standing face to face, but then Dane knocks him out as well. So this is a short but pretty good match, I actually thought. And it teased the first Ascension and Undisputed Era, and also starts to establish Dane as a bit of this heel monster, I guess, is maybe what they're going for. So I actually thought this was good.
This made me sad.
I know. We get Rhea Ripley backstage. She is teaming with Io, and she came to the ring at TakeOver to send a message that Io is hers now.
I made a note, actually. Rhea Ripley's hair looks so dumb, and it doesn't help that she has this weird black lipstick too. And
you really don't like her hair. You talk about it almost every week.
It's so bad. It's just it doesn't, she's trying to have this badass character, but I feel like this really detracts from it.
Well, WWE likes blonde people, it seems, right? So when it comes to their female wrestlers. So she basically says if Gonzalez wants to get her out of her face, she should make her. Okay. Then we get Adam Cole now doing his little promo leading into the match next week. He's moved past McAfee. We certainly hope so. And can focus on the championship.
Burn.
And he's going to hold the title twice, and that's undisputed.
That is
good
undisputed.
Little promo. Again, these are feel very 80s style promos to me.
Adam Cole's going to win.
So we get the main event, which is Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley versus Dakota Kai and Raquel Rodriguez, right?
Raquel Gonzalez.
Wow.
Rodriguez.
Oh, I actually wrote Rodriguez. Interesting.
How did you do? What the heck?
Gonzalez. Sorry.
Wow.
I don't know what I was thinking. Anyways, that's
Ricardo Rodriguez.
Maybe. Io's entrance theme is awesome. I love it. Kai is awesome too, and I love this. I love this women's division as much as I dislike the tag division. Is about as much as I like the women's division. I think it's the best thing in NXT, along with Cameron Grimes, in my opinion. So Ripley and Kai start. Kai is obviously going to be overpowered in this confrontation. Ripley throws Kai into the corner and wants Gonzalez in. So this is what I found strange, right? They square off. The two larger women get in and square off as Ripley demanded. And
you noted this. Right?
Basically a headbutt, and then Ripley goes and tags out. So this I didn't understand.
Did she like fall into the corner and then
No, she just kind of walked over and tagged out.
Okay.
So I don't know if she actually took a headbutt and needed a minute, but it didn't make sense. She demanded Gonzalez come out and fight her, and then there's one move and she tags out.
And she's like, no, thank you.
So I thought this was either something went wrong or this was really out of character for someone who's supposed to be not afraid of anyone, right? And a
badass, although maybe it's that hair and she's hurting herself.
Shirai hits a head scissor to Gonzalez. Gonzalez catches Kai as she's knocked off the apron. So Ripley's on fire against Dakota Kai right now. And Kai gets help from Gonzalez, and Ripley's pulled out of the ring. Gonzalez is in control and controls Ripley with power moves and clubbing blows for 2. Kai is tagged in and works on Ripley on the ground. The heels now cut off the ring and make frequent tags. We get a head kick that frees up Ripley, and she makes the hot tag to Io. So this is a great hot tag. Io comes in, dominates Kai, dominates both. Meteora 619 missile drop kick, so fast she is, for 2 on Kai. Scorpion kick counter by Kai that I like almost every time. A nasty knee and a German with the bridge to by Io, and the pin is saved by Gonzalez. Gonzalez physically drags Kai over to the corner and tags herself in. We get a power slam by Gonzalez to Io for 2. The ref misses a tag by the faces, and Martinez arrives to take out Ripley. She pulls her down and smashes her face on the steps, which I thought looked pretty good. Then Gonzalez back in the ring with Io. She hits the Tour of the Islands, which
Jeff Cobb's finisher.
That's correct. She hits that on Io. Kai misses a kick, and Ripley is back, but takes a massive one-handed power bomb here and in my notes I made a mistake because Gonzalez hit some other move that I really liked, but I literally my notes it says BIIT, so I don't know what that is, but it was something I thought was cool, and then the big one-handed power bomb for the win. I really liked this match, and I thought Gonzalez looked like a killer at the end.
Right.
Match of the night for me.
She got like a semi-clean win over Ripley.
She did. So match of the night. The show ends with Io looking at Ripley, then Kai, and then Gonzalez with her arms raised at the top of the ramp. I thought rating for this show,
mediocre show.
So what would you give it?
I'd go C+.
Pretty close. I gave B-, C+. Probably. I said a great main event, 2 decent but not great championship matches.
There's not much to look at here.
No, really. Nice. I thought it was bookended well, right? Like the cross segment I thought was good, and the main event match I thought was really good.
And the way they reacted to the cross situation with the announcement.
Yeah, and that hyping that match, I'm excited for that, considering they kind of were forced into just making something on the fly.
I almost like this better than a tournament because this is something brand new. Yes, we're not going to get someone new, but it's
pretty rare for me to say this.
New.
I think I'm most excited for something on NXT next week.
Right.
That's not, we don't say that
a 4-way
so
Iron
far.
Man match, that's unheard of.
Yeah, that sounds cool. All right, so after that, we're now moving into any other business, which will...
Any other wrestling business.
Any other wrestling business. So do you have anything before I talk about... I have to talk about Impact again.
I do. So do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, on Raw, Keith Lee had his Ashes debut, new ring gear and all. He had shorts that looked like a skirt and a skin-tight tank top.
And his theme?
New theme. They kept the same intro. It almost reminds me of Samoa Joe's original theme, which had the same intro as his current theme. Yeah. But then it went like, bow, and then turned into like a disco song or something.
It was I thought a super generic theme. Much worse than his previous one, and his ring attire was just bad.
It's because his theme was made by CFOS.
Yes.
And they cut ties with WWE, so that makes me afraid for Undisputed Era's theme, because literally on their first shirt, it had the CFOS.
And his shorts were just like really billowy and large and looked almost like a skirt. It was just a
They
very
did.
awkward choice.
Skort.
I find it hard to believe that there's people backstage going, "Yep, that's what you should wear." Which I'm like, are you
Who thought
messing
that was
with
a
this
good
guy?
idea?
Like, who's picking out that outfit, and then who else is going, "Yes,
I swear,
this
my
looks
money's
good."
on Vince McMahon.
So I hope they're not messing
Or
with the guy
some
because he's good.
idiot's like, you should wear this, and Vince is like, yes, pal. And like it was just like
It wasn't good, and his theme
and
was
then
bad.
Roman Reigns' heel turn seems likely, as we mentioned. He's aligned with Paul Heyman.
Yep.
Interesting. Again, I expressed my concern with this, but again, I still like to see where this goes.
But this is what we talk about, right? That in a situation in AEW, we would have the faith, like we would say, you know what? I trust them. They're probably going to make it work. Whereas WWE,
I'm
it's
doubtful, but also,
I'm pretty sure it won't work, but maybe they'll surprise me.
Not only because of their previous booking endeavors, but also just because, I don't know, I just feel like Roman Reigns has been so anti-Paul Heyman for so long.
Yeah, but most people like me forget that. They're counting. Say they sort of plan. I think everyone has a memory like me. Nobody remembers the history of anyone's anything, and it's all just brand new, right? So we'll see. I don't know.
So you remember Ciampa Gargano?
I'm open to a heel Roman Reigns. I don't want to see him in any other
and then
format.
Sami Zayn tried to go into the Champions Lounge of Nakamura and Cesaro, make conversation, and then they kind of like told him to leave, and like so possibly splitting up the Artist Collective.
Right. Which
Unlike
didn't have a long
Undisputed
run.
Era, I don't really care because this is a faction that was kind of randomly put together and also didn't have a long run.
To be honest, the Artist Collective, I haven't even really seen because to my shock and dismay, you stopped watching main roster, so I did too. So I don't even really know what that group did, to be honest, but
yeah,
it's all right.
main roster was bad.
All right, so the highlight of my week.
I'm just going to take a
Impact
chat
Wrestling
here.
Night 2 of Emergence, which again is like their 2-night televised on TV slot pay-per-view, I guess. Night 1 was not great. I found this, spoiler alert, to be even worse, so here we go. The opening match is Eddie Edwards defending the Impact Championship in his open challenge match. And the challenger this week is RVD, who I have absolutely no time for, to the point where I don't even discuss details of what he does because it's
I feel bad
embarrassing.
for you too because
I used to love the guy, but he's not watchable in
you
this.
watched ECW, right? So then, and even WWE when he came in, right? And he was still good.
Yep, not anymore. So it's mostly in the ring. He's still okay.
Have
he's
you
definitely
heard of
lost
that
a
one
step.
segment he did on Impact with Katie Forbes in the bed? And
She's my main problem.
in the bed with like the.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's my main problem with his presentation. I can't watch her and I can't watch him because of her mostly. So this was a short, not great match with Edwards retaining after the Boston Knee Party. Eric Young comes out and ambushes Edwards, announces he will be challenging Eddie for the title next week in the Open Challenge. Eric Young is actually kind of interesting. One of the few things on this.
I really like that they're going
that
with this as like his true form.
Yes, so his new Maniac gimmick is him, and everything else has been somebody else's idea. So nothing else about this match stood out. Young's kind of interesting. Russell House, first segment, Taya organizes a toga party.
A toga party? Oh,
Swinger
God.
plans to Fuji
Holy
all the
college
guys.
Batman.
Swinger plans to Fuji all the guys at the party by blowing chalk in their face to eliminate all the men so that they are no competition for the women. Swinger accidentally Fuji's Crazy Steve, and it's match time. Blindfold match, crowd mislead.
Match between Steve and Swinger, I assume.
Yes, for like 10 seconds, maybe a minute, I don't know. Crowd misleads Swinger, like they're pointing for him where to go, and like they do in blindfold matches.
Would they even see him though?
But
or would he even see where they're pointing?
Sorry, he points and they cheer. Sorry, you know how that works in blindfold matches?
Right, yeah.
So they cheer him over to the wrong spot, and Crazy Steve gets a roll-up win. Awful and pointless. Back in the ring, Edwards calls out Eric Young. Young comes out. Eddie wants to fight now. Young wants to wait. They have a pull-apart brawl. Pretty standard stuff. Young seems committed to this Maniac character, at least.
Yeah.
Rhino wants to fight Reno Scum. He needs the fans to help him get Heath as his partner through some sort of social media campaign.
Good luck doing that in a week.
Right.
People care that much about Heath.
Rohit is interviewed and cuts a decent promo, but I was a bit confused.
Raju.
Because he talks about how he's been a victim of political games and had to make his own opportunities, but now that he's the champ, there's going to be opportunities for all. So it's a very babyface wording to say like
I don't like him. And I don't.
But I don't believe he's a babyface, so I'm hoping there's something up
Maybe
here.
he's lying.
Right? I don't know. So locker room talk, which is one of consistently the worst things I see every week.
Hey, maybe you could compare it to the electric chair.
Oh my goodness, it's close. So Madison Rain is our host, and Dez and Wentz from the Rascals are there as co-hosts. Fulton and Austin are the guests. And it's not worth recapping. Eventually, there's a match between the Rascals and Austin and Fulton for next week. This was awful and unwatchable, even though I love Ace Austin.
Even though I love him,
Sammy Callahan seems to be back to his hacker gimmick, and he hacks into the feed to talk about RVD. Excuse me. He's in RVD's head, so RVD won't be at his best when they fight next week. And this was a decent little promo, but I guess his hacker gimmick is back?
Solomon Crow.
I guess so. So now we get an EC3 package. He was happiest when he won the TNA championship, but he didn't get treated the way he expected to once he did win. He needs to destroy the TNA championship to move on with his life. And Moose could be awesome, but he hides behind robes and gimmicks. It was okay. I don't see the connection as to why he has to destroy the TNA championship, and I think he thinks he was really clever in what he was saying and explaining it, but I don't really think it was, and he seemed really overly dramatic, and I didn't really love this. He reminds me of Mia Yim, and what's my nickname for Mia Yim?
Almost.
Right? He's almost got a good look. He's almost a good wrestler. He almost cuts a good promo. He's like 2/3 of a good wrestler, which I think is appropriate because Impact feels like 2/3 of a promotion right now, right? So
right.
I'm not saying he's doesn't belong there. I just did not love this promo.
Yeah.
Brian Myers then defeats Willie Mack in a decent match. I thought Myers actually looked better last week. Myers won it with a roll up and a pull of the tights to let us know he's a heel, I guess. Now we get Heath. He needs fans to get him trending on social media so he can be Rhino's partner next week, and he's just as boring as he is every week. WrestleHouse 2. Rosemary and Lawrence prepare for their date. Alicia and Dreamer figure out that Rosemary is using Lawrence to make Johnny Bravo jealous. I hate that I'm even typing this out, is what I have in my notes. Stupidity ensues, and Johnny Bravo slaps Lawrence, and it's match time. Larry wins a 2-move match. Literally punch, punch, it's over. Taya is drunk, and maybe the only amusing thing on this episode. She gets into it with Rosemary, and the winner of their match next week gets Johnny Bravo, I guess. Awful, unwatchable nonsense.
Nice.
So now we move into by far the highlight of the show, the main event, which is Jordan Grace versus Deonna Purrazzo in the first ever 30-minute Iron Man match for the Impact Women's Championship.
The Iron Man match in a empty arena is not very smart, but
it was actually really, really good. It would have been better with a crowd, no doubt. So this starts out with grappling, with Grace proving she can hang on the mat with Purrazzo. Grace then takes over with her power. Purrazzo escapes using her wits and takes control outside the ring. In ring, Purrazzo works Grace's left arm and even did the Baszler arm stomp, which always looks good. The match is slow. She works Grace's arm for a long time, but I still found it really interesting with Purrazzo in control because it's Grace starting to power out in a different way and Purrazzo regaining control in a different way. So this goes on, and the match goes 25 minutes, and we still have no falls yet. We have a striking battle. Grace takes control, palm strike, superplex. Both are exhausted now. They square off in the middle, and Grace is on fire with strikes and sentons. And she applies a sleeper by Grace, and Purrazzo passes out, and that's our first fall. The ref is pulled in front of a splash attempt by Grace, and he gets knocked out. The Grace driver is hit, but there's no ref, so there's no fall there. We get a
creative name there, eh?
Right, the Grace driver. Woo. We get a belt shot to Grace. The ref wakes up just in time, and now it's 1-1 with 1 minute left. So there's a boot, a suplex by Purrazzo, and an armbar, and Jordan Grace taps out with 2 seconds left, and that is obviously the deciding fall, and Purrazzo retains.
Yeah.
Yes. So I really liked this match. We had the story of a wrestling genius trying to ground a powerhouse who turns out actually to be a decent wrestler too. Very slow in the middle, but again, not in an uninteresting way. Is interesting to watch Grace almost escape only to be pulled back into that armbar. I think Purrazzo's awesome and a really strong heel, and I think Grace is really good too. By far the best match of either night, and the only two things I would recommend anyone watch from these 2 nights of Impact. Emergence would be the tag team championship match between the North and the Machine Guns, and this women's championship match. Overall, this was a disappointing show, even lower than my expectations. So not terrible, but not good. I would say it was about a C or a C- grade for me.
Yeah.
All right. The only other thing
I don't really have a comment because I did not watch.
No, I don't. I'm the one taking that for the team, watching Impact every week.
Taking one for the team.
So I thought the only other thing we would cover quickly, I'm trying to get through before this machine craps out on us again and we have to record this a third time.
I'm not going to.
No,
we have
won't.
to.
No offense to you listeners. I don't know if I could do this a third time. I just wanted
we could do it tomorrow.
I wanted to do some predictions for the upcoming Payback card for what we know. So really quickly, we've got, what are our possible matches?
Tag match.
Bailey and Sasha Banks versus Nia Jackson Baszler. You are taking...
I don't know. I said something else, but I might actually have to go with the challengers because you raised a good point.
I am taking the challengers. I feel like they might do...
I'd like to see them then face off when they're champs, like a la Austin Michaels.
Yeah, it might be this get all the gold off Sasha and most of it off Bailey. They can continue their sort of infighting maybe, and then you have the new tag champions that it's that classic. They're champions, but they don't get along with each other, I guess.
Nia Jax will have to vacate the title after she injures more people.
Maybe. U.S. Championship, Cruz and Lashley.
Cruz.
I'll take Lashley just because I think Lashley should be a monster and a main eventer. Randy Orton, Keith Lee.
Keith Lee, I guess.
Right? Because how could they have him lose? Although, maybe...
That seems very like them, though.
Right. They seem like they're messing with him so far. So I think either Lee has to win or it's going to be a non-finish, but I'll take Lee as well. The Mysterios versus Rollins and Murphy.
Rollins got the win at SummerSlam.
50-50.
I'm gonna say the Mysterios.
Classic 50-50 booking.
Yep.
I'll agree with you. Corbin Riddle.
I'm gonna go with Matt Riddle. It better be Matt Riddle.
100%.
If it's not Matt Riddle, I'm gonna lose my crap.
I would almost say it has to be Riddle. I don't know if it's not. There better be some interesting way to.
They better have a good.
Not make me angry.
They better have a damn good reason.
Big E, Sheamus.
Again, it better be Big E. If they're serious about this push, Sheamus should not win at all.
I agree. Has to be Big E. They have to start pushing him. He's awesome. And then
if he doesn't win, then it's like, are you pushing him?
Right. The championship, I guess. Wyatt, Strowman, Reigns. What are you saying?
Definitely Wyatt, but I think Reigns will get out unscathed. Like Strowman's taking the pin. I think.
I agree with you. So one more thing, I guess. Let's assume we get Hardy Styles. Do you think they'll add that?
Yeah, because I think maybe they might want to save Hardy versus Zayn for then they could just go with a simple rematch on this. Right?
So are you thinking Hardy retains then?
Yeah, obviously, because I think
they want to build to
Zayn
Sammy.
is a heel as well, right? So you're gonna want Jeff Hardy to. Right.
I would agree with that. I think Hardy will retain, and that maybe Styles is going to move up the card and go back into. I want to
see how Hardy does as a champion. So
yeah.
Because I know you're not a fan of him, but I think he's gotta give him a chance.
So we're not hyped for the show. We will definitely watch it, and we'll probably talk about it.
But
we'll talk about it briefly
it.
next week. We might enjoy it. We could hope, right?
I bet we'll enjoy it about as much as you enjoy Impact. That's my prediction.
So, fair enough. That brings us to our final segment, and honestly, I'm just nervous that this whole thing's going to shut down on us again. So I'm going to quickly turn it over to Jackson to talk about. We always end with he talks about the world of wrestling figures for a few minutes. So I will turn that over to you, buddy, and let's hope that this doesn't erase. Go.
First up, I'm covering just a bunch of back orders over on good old Ringside Collectibles. First is AEW's Chris Jericho, a little bit of the bubbly Ringside exclusive set. You get the Chris Jericho figure, which has his the same attire as his AEW Unrivaled 1 figure, but different face scan. You get the AEW Championship. You get a breakaway table, which is a 2-piece table, notably. Then you get 2 bottles of a little bit of the bubbly, one with the cap off, one with the cap on. You get an ice bucket with where you can actually put them in. You get a food tray with the olives in the middle, which are actually a different piece. So nice. You put those in the middle, just kind of, it's like crackers, meat, and cheese and whatnot. You get 2 yellow Solo cups and a little bit of the bubbly T-shirt.
And I know you really want this one.
Yeah.
You like accessories just as much as figures sometimes.
I just really want the title, and it was just a good way to get Jericho with the title, and I really don't think I have any chance of getting the Jericho chase. And even then, I would probably still want this, so I could keep that in the packaging, just because I feel like that could be worth something.
It would be great if we ever see any of this AEW stuff in stores
in
Canada. We
will, but I just think if I can find that Jericho, even the Chase Jericho, I'll keep it, because that's going to be worth something, so maybe I'll keep that in the packaging. And with minus the Inner Circle shirt and the title it comes with, it's the exact same figure I already have, right?
Right.
So
that would make sense.
I would only buy it for the rarity it'll be eventually, right?
Cool.
So anyway, so Chris Jericho, a little bit of the bubbly exclusive. And then speaking of AEW, we've also got AEW's Unrivaled Series 1 on back order. Notably, the only ones that are still in stock are Kenny Omega and Brandy Rhodes. I have almost the full set. I'm missing Brandy Rhodes, but we'll see if I get
I didn't
her or
think
not.
that was a top priority, so I didn't order that one.
That's fair. That's fair. And then we also have AEW's championship toy title is on back order as well. Yep. And then we also have the NXT War Games playset.
So I guess that implies that sales are going well, right? They've sold out their first shipments and they've ordered more.
The only thing that's not on back order is their scale ring, but that's still on pre-order. So
right. Yeah, they were behind in a few things. I think when they were producing the toys, I heard the figures were a bit delayed, but the belt and the something else were on time.
Yeah, the medium ring, which is also on back order, and the toy title I've seen in stores, or on videos, and they're just getting the actual figures now.
That's right.
And so we got an Elite 2-pack, which is China Triple H, on back order, and then the Undertaker as Kane Elite Ringside exclusive, which is from the moment when Undertaker did he pretended to be Kane in the one match.
Yes,
and, beat up
I
Mankind.
actually do.
Right. Yeah, and then the Edge Heads 3-in-1 exclusive Elite is also on back order.
Yeah.
Edge and the Edge Heads.
Yes.
And then new in stock
which was Ryder and what's it,
Goldberg
Hawkins?
And Bret Hart Elite 2-pack is now new in stock. So if you want to get that, you don't have to wait for the pre-order. Oh wait, it says it's pre-order now, or is it new in stock? Nope, it's new in stock. Okay, because when you click on the things, they'll either say new in stock but it's under the new arrivals, which is new in stock. So yeah, it's new in stock. It just it's still saying pre-order, but yeah. So that's new in stock, and So not much else there, but yeah, that's it.
Well,
not much.
I think we're gonna wrap it up, and we may only have to do this twice. So honestly, I really appreciate you because I left this up to Jack. I let him hear because I recovered part of the original one that got canceled, but it was only one of our audio, so it was basically his mic sounded great and mine was not. So I let him listen, and he agreed it didn't sound good enough for us to publish.
Like he was literally maybe sitting in another room and
right.
just
so
shouting through
I
the
really
walls.
appreciate you making the choice to come and do it again. I feel like your energy was actually better than mine. I'm the one dying right now. You did a really great job, so good for you. We just wanted to sound
it wasn't WSF,
as good as possible for the few people that actually do listen. I didn't want to put out one where he's loud and clear and me you can barely hear. I probably wouldn't listen to it, so
good.
I can't so I appreciate Jack you coming back and doing a second take with me. I hope you guys enjoyed it and couldn't tell that we're intensely frustrated for a little bit there in between our two recordings, but as always we appreciate all of you giving us a bit of time out of your week.
And thank you to anybody who listened to our last episode and the bonus episode, I think. So anybody who listened to those, thank you very much.
You can, as always, you can find us on YouTube, FNS Wrestling, on Podbean, FNS Wrestling.
Please do try to do Podbean as well, because Podbean, we've discovered, could end up being very helpful in the future if we get a bunch of listeners. So, Podbean, I believe, is free to download, right? So,
it is absolutely free.
Go ahead and download that. And
it's FNS Wrestling on Podbean, fnswrestling@gmail.com if anyone wants to send us a message.
And on Podbean, if you just search wrestling on the sports, we're close to the top there.
Sorry, one of my coolest things is our...
So if you go to sports and then you go to wrestling,
we're on
second
row.
You'll see us right there, but
mixed
not hard
in with
to find.
a bunch of... We have our 2 followers, and we're right in there with people with thousands and thousands.
Yeah, you don't even have to search us. You just have to go to sports and then wrestling.
For me, it was cool to see podcasts I've listened to for years and years, like over a decade,
and
some
we're
of them,
up there,
that now I'm in there with it. So that's pretty cool for me to see.
We're not even successful yet.
We are certainly not, but we're having fun doing it.
Yep.
So thanks again to everybody for listening to us, and we will see you all back at the same time, same place next week.
Unless something happens.
We'll talk to you then.
JK.
Have a great week.